Well, from Warner Bros. That just hit theaters today on December 15th. This film is now the third Hollywood adaptation of the very famous Ronald Dahl book of Willy Wonka. This time, Wonka is being played by Timothy Chalamet in a prequel where we learn how Wonka gets to get to his famous factory. In this film, Wonka struggles from the beginning of the film, uh, finding people to sell his chocolate to, and he finds this group of friends, and one in particular, Noodle, played by Colin Lane, who are imprisoned basically in their own apartment by Mrs. Scruvitt, who's played by Olivia Colman. Wonka tries to sell chocolate in this town, but he runs into kind of the chocolate mafia who try to stop Wonka throughout the entire film with the help of the chief of police, who's played by Keegan Michael Key. Also, Wonka meets an Oompa Loompa, who's played by Hugh Grant. His mother, who has a lot of ties into the overall film, is played by Sally Hawkins, and a priest in the middle of the film is also played by Rowan Atkinson. The film is also directed and co-written by Paul King, who just came off directing both Paddington films. This movie is PG and it's 1 hour and 56 minutes long. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here on Mac Talks. We're talking about Wonka. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews every single week. On Monday, I do a box office breakdown show, and I do movie franchise rankings. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below, is Willy Wonka something that you have grown up with? Is this a character that you care a lot about? If you've seen the movie, which version of the character do you like the best? Gene Wilder, Johnny Depp, or Timothy Chalamet? Do you want to see more of this franchise? If you've not seen it, tell me, is this one you're just skipping? And tell me why you would skip it in the comment section down below. And also, please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button, that is how you support this channel. So heading in, I don't really have huge expectations. This is not a franchise character that I particularly care about a lot. I have a lot of fun with the original film of Gene Wilder. I did not like the Tim Burton Johnny Depp era in the early 2000s of that film and that take on this character. So I really like Timothy Chalamet. I really like Paul King. I kind of like all the talent behind and in front of the camera. Um, so let's get into my overall thoughts on Wonka. So for me, Wonka is very much an acceptable film. It's not doing anything that is special. It's also not doing anything that is horrible either. And the reason why I say it's acceptable is that I do think the movie is very charming. I think that's the number one thing I would say from a positive with this movie is that it is charming from start to finish. It helps that it is a full-on musical. I do think people should know that going in. It's not just the usual Wonka songs that are played in during the movie, but it is a full-on musical with multiple upon multiple dance and song sequences throughout the entire film. So I do think people should know that before they head into this film. Um, Now let's start with Timothy Chalamet, who I do believe I'm very mixed on. Uh, Overall, he is very charming in the role, and he's a very likable, charismatic lead actor. At times, I think like the first hour of the movie, I was pretty on board with him as Wonka, but I think the second half of the movie is where I kind of see him being very miscast. So I'm very overall mixed on, as you can tell, mixed on the movie, but mixed on Chalamet because I think the first hour they kind of let him kind of be crazy and quirky and weird. And then like the second half of the movie, they kind of dial that down a lot for Wonka. And that's where I feel Chalamet can be very miscast. So there are times where I feel Chalamet is really solid casting for this character. And there are other times where I do find him to be miscast, but I'm more positive on Chalamet than I am negative. And this is coming from someone who's a massive fan of Chalamet as an actor. This might have not been the perfect casting that I think I thought it could have been leading into the movie. I think the standout from the overall cast is Kala Lane as Noodle. She easily has the best voice of the entire film. They needed more songs with her in it, but she is clearly, I think, the MVP for the movie. She has all the heart and the emotion as it pertains on a story level. And Lane really delivers a great performance for anyone, child or not. Um, she is really terrific in the film and stands toe to toe a lot of the time with Chalamet because obviously Chalamet is not a singer and she can obviously sing. So it's a very strong performance from Colin Lane. I also really did enjoy Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. It's definitely something that will throw you off at first, but again, it's a fun movie, and Hugh Grant is clearly having a lot of fun playing our lone Oompa Loompa in the movie. And Grant definitely delivers. Another part that I think really does a good job is the production value and the direction. Paul King, obviously really accomplished from the Paddington films, which are some of the best movies, especially for family films of the last 10, 15 years. Does his work here. It's a very charming film, very colorful film. Um, and it's very fun to watch throughout the entire film. That's a testament to Paul King behind the scenes. On the like my mixed elements and some of the parts I just don't like, there just isn't a lot of character arcs here for Wonka. They kind of try to do some backstory involving Wonka and his mother, who kind of got him the itch for chocolate started, and she was played by Sally Hawkins, a terrific actress. But there just isn't. There's just kind of just one scene that's a flashback, and that's kind of it. Um, I think if the movie should have been focused, if the movie was supposed to tell us how we get, how Willie becomes Wonka, I do feel like we needed a lot more scenes between young Wonka and Sally Hawkins throughout the film, but it's so brief. It just doesn't feel like Wonka himself has a character arc throughout the entire film. He's kind of the same person he was in the beginning than he was at the end. And for a prequel that's setting him into being the one running a chocolate factory, I think the movie needed a lot more depth for that character. If it's a prequel, I get it if they want to do another remake and not have that in there, but this is a prequel predicated on us seeing the growth of this character to running a factory. I just didn't really see the ability. The biggest problem for me of the movie is kind of the villains, the chocolate mafia. All of that comedy does not work for me whatsoever. The performances did not work for me. And every time they were on screen, they were just nagging and not really interesting on any level. I know the joke of being a chocolate mafia, but for me, those characters just never worked throughout the entire movie. And I usually like Olivia Colman, but she was very much by the wayside, just kind of a waste for her in this movie. They kind of do a bit with her and another character, but I just didn't really enjoy that. And I usually do always love Olivia Colman. It's not her fault, but they don't really give her much material to do with. So overall, it's a very acceptable film. It's fun to watch. The songs themselves, nothing special, but the songs will definitely they'll take you through the runtime. It's a fun movie to watch. Something that's not too childish for adults. Um, but I do think kids are gonna have so much fun, and families will have a lot of fun watching this movie. And while Chalamet is not the perfect casting for Wonka, he's good enough in the role to make this movie watchable. So overall, I'm gonna give Wonka a 3 out of 5 stars. I am going to go like 59. I'll go 60% for Wonka. What are your thoughts on this movie overall? I don't think this reaches Gene Wilder, but I do think this is an upgrade over Johnny Depp. So what are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comment section. More reviews for a busy holiday break coming up here on the channel. I'll see you guys soon.